I mean, we got to see the liberty that Jesus purchased for us. And that starts in our mind. I mean, Paul tries to describe that in Romans chapter 7. You know, in verse 23, he describes the law of sin that was sown into our flesh by the first man, Adam. Verse 14 of chapter 7, he said, "For we are fleshly, carnal, sold under sin." Talking about our placement to sin. And verse 23 is talking about the law of sin that he sowed into our flesh, waged war against the law of our mind and held us prisoners to sin. Okay, and then understanding what the blood of Jesus and I mean, first of all, look at 1 Corinthians 15:45, where he talks about the first man, Adam, was made a living soul. The last Adam, Jesus, was made a life-giving spirit. I mean, this is what he's getting at in Romans chapter 8, verses 1 and 2. There is no condemnation to those who are in Christ Jesus, who walk not after the flesh, but after the Spirit. For the law of life and the Spirit of Jesus Christ made me free from the law of sin and death. For what the law could not do because of the weakness it had through the sinful flesh, God did accomplish by sending his own Son in the likeness of sinful flesh, and for sin, condemned sin in the flesh. That the righteous requirements of the law, we're not talking about the outward forms of the law, we're talking about don't steal, don't bear false witness, don't covet your neighbor's goods, don't commit fornication, these things. And we've got to see, the writer of Hebrews talks about the sacrifice of the blood and body of Jesus and how that purged our minds from dead works to serving the living God in chapter 9, verses 13 and 14. In water baptism, in chapter 10, verse 22, he says, "Drawing near in full assurance of faith, having our hearts sprinkled from an evil conscience and our bodies washed with pure water," talking about water baptism. I mean, people that don't think they have to be water baptized, I mean, you're wrong. I mean, because look what Jesus told Peter in chapter 13 of John. And then in chapter 4, verse 1, he baptized his